That's on Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can, and Gassim, the nation builder. So tonight, the Police and Criminal Investigations Department and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice Raj have begun investigations into allegations by a legal practitioner that a former client of his paid the Chief Justice $500,000 bribe out of $5 million demanded to influence the case. Paramount Chief of Gomwa Afranse Ojedom Abrane Kwesi Atta IV had filed a petition at the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council asking it to help him retrieve an amount of 300,000 cedis paid to his former lawyer, Akwesi Efrifa, to influence the judiciary to win a case. Lawyer Efrifa denied the claim in a response to the General Legal Council and rather claimed that the Paramount Chief had told him he had paid a bribe to the Chief Justice Kwesi Enin Yeboah. Well, my colleagues Joseph Opoku-Gakpo and court correspondent Joseph Akable have joined me both in the studio and via Zoom. And let's go through the document as it spanned out, a number of it. First, the petition that was sent to the General Legal Council by the Paramount Chief of Gomwa Franse, Ojedom Obrane Kwesi Atta IV. Also a rejoinder from him after Kwesi Efrifa responded to the General Legal Council. We also now have a letter from the Judicial Council to the CID. It's actually a petition to the Inspector General of Police, Ghana Police Service, for an investigation into this. Also tonight, there are some petitions to the Speaker of Parliament and then also to Shraj by ASEPA, governance, civil society organization, asking that some investigations be begun or started into these allegations as well. But we'll start off from Zoom with Joseph Akable. And Joseph, let's start from what exactly was Ojedom Obrane Kwesi Atta's petition to the General Legal Council against lawyer Efrifa. Take us through it.
And so in simple terms, it was an aim to retrieve money from the lawyer. And it's a petition that is dated 1st March 2021 and is filed by the chief against the lawyer, Akwesi Efrifa. And he says that he engaged his service to handle a case for him. And this was at a fee of 300,000 cedis. And the paramount chief says he paid this amount in full. He said after paying the money, he was informed by the lawyer that he wants to do some ways and means for him to enable him obtain a favorable decision. And so in order to carry out that ways and means, he should pay an amount of $100,000. And so the chief said he proceeded to pay the amounts. But later on, he realized, in the petition, says he realized from the demeanor of the lawyer that the money was not used for the intended purpose, i.e., the ways and means that was supposed to ensure a favorable decision. And so he fired the lawyer and asked for a refund of the said amount. He said the lawyer since paid an amount of $25,000, leaving some $75,000 outstanding, for which reason he sent a petition dated 1st March 2021 to the General Legal Council requesting that the council assist him to retrieve the outstanding $75,000 from this lawyer, Akwesi Efrifa.
Well, so that's how it all started with that petition to the General Legal Council from Ojedom Obrane Kwesi Atta IV. That's the petition that Joseph has just taken us through. Now, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, you're with me in the studio on this. So what was lawyer Efrifa's response and how did the Chief Justice's name come into all this?
It contains a lot of details. I'll run you through excerpts of this particular response as was written by lawyer Efrifa. He, for example, makes the point that in the first place, it's untrue that a fee of 300,000 was agreed between himself and the petitioner. He goes on to say that the truth is that a fee of 1 million cedis was actually agreed, out of which the petitioner paid 300,000 and undertook to settle the remainder later. Now, let me get to the part that mentions the Chief Justice. Lawyer Efrifa claims in this letter that as at the end of July 2020, the petitioner informed him that friends of his who were highly connected politically had taken him to see the Chief Justice, who had agreed to help him win his case on condition that he drops my good self, as in him, lawyer Efrifa, as the lawyer handling the case for him and engage Akoto Ampawu in his stead. And then he goes on to make the specific point about the alleged bribery. And he says the chief actually informed him that the Chief Justice had demanded a bribe of $5 million for a successful outcome of the case, and that he had already paid $500,000 to the Chief Justice. Then he goes on to say he further indicated that he was hard pressed to raise the remainder of the money, and so he, lawyer Frifa, should refund some of the 300,000 paid earlier as fees, because he had, in line with the advice of the Chief Justice, engaged Akoto Ampawu as solicitor to continue the case before the Supreme Court. There are more details as contained in this letter by lawyer Frifa to the Disciplinary Council of the General Legal Council. He claims, and he makes an interesting point here, that the petitioner, in this case the chief, holds a master's degree and is about completing LLB at the Lancashire University. Then he makes some allegations against the chief himself. Lawyer Afrifa says he's a shrewd and experienced businessman and vigorously pursuing paramountcy of the stool that he occupies. Then he goes on to say the chief holds himself as politically well connected and counts Jinapo, Captain Koda, among others, as his closest friends, and has uninhibited access to the seat of government, where he claims to be constantly there. And then he goes on to say such a person does not need a helpless provincial lawyer like myself to assist him pay a bribe. Again, in the latter part of it, the Chief Justice's name actually came up, and lawyer Frifa says that the chief told him that his own investigations, which he caused personnel at the BNI to conduct, shows that the Chief Justice was in the process of acquiring several properties at a posh residential area in Kumasi, and therefore needed the money urgently. I told him that I was simply not interested in his dealings with politicians and persons wielding power. Let me quote one final paragraph from the letter from lawyer Frifa. He says, in the light of the above, it is incredulous that such a monstrous allegation would be made by the petitioner, in this case the chief, against me, and I look forward to setting the facts straight so the August committee of the General Legal Council can determine the falsity of the allegation, which I believe is contrived to tarnish my reputation, against the backdrop that the petitioner told me after his said discussion with the Chief Justice that he gets the distinct impression that the Chief Justice has a deep-seated dislike and prejudice against me. And it goes on with a lot of other details, but it's signed by Kwesia Frifa, who is with O&A Legal Consults, barristers, solicitors, and notaries public.
Okay, so that's the response to that petition to the General Legal Council, and in line with Rule 3, they are supposed to let the petitioner know and then give a response to what the petitioner has sent to the General Legal Council. But after that, there was a rejoinder from Ojiedom Obrani Kwesiata the 6th. So this one is signed by him, dated 11 July 2021. It's just headlined rejoinder, and it says, my attention has been drawn to a media publication, allegations against my good self and some prominent third parties, including the Chief Justice. I unequivocally deny all allegations of intended bribery or actual bribery of any judge, including the Chief Justice, whom I have never met or known personally apart from seeing him at distance from the bench. I re-emphasize that I have never met the Chief Justice before, nor dealt with him directly or indirectly in official or private capacity. Neither do I even know where he lives, nor have his phone number to have communicated with him. I have since applied for a copy of the said response to my petition against lawyer Frifa, in which these fabrications and allegations are said to be contained, and will appropriately react to the General Legal Council upon receipt of same. And he signs out by saying, stay tuned for the truth. And this is signed by Ojiedom Obrani Kwesi Atta the 5th. So that's the rejoinder to Kwesi Frifa's response to his petition to the General Legal Council. Well, in the last few minutes also, there's a statement from the Judicial Council on this, signed or written to the police to start investigations into this. But Blair and Joseph, well, we also know that ASEPA has petitioned Shraj and, of course, the Speaker as well to look into this. But let me come to you, Blair, on the ASEPA petition to Shraj. What exactly are they asking Shraj to do on this?
In fact, it's quite a very brief one there, so I'll just read it verbatim. It indicates a petition to investigate Justice Eni Nyebwa for allegation of bribery and corruption. It says, we write to invoke the jurisdiction of Shraj pursuant to Section 71AF of the Shraj Act 1993 Act 456 and Article 281 AE to investigate the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Justice Nini Yeboah, for allegations of bribery and corruption. That a response filed by Kwesi Afrifa, a Ghanaian lawyer, in response to a petition brought against him, made some very chilling allegations against the Chief Justice of the Republic. An allegation that the chief disclosed to his former lawyer that the Chief Justice had demanded a bribe of $5 million from him to help him win a case he had at the Supreme Court. An allegation which has found its way into the public through mainstream and social media, bringing the name of the judiciary into disrepute and casting a serious slur on the justice administration in the country. ASEPA treats these allegations very seriously and contends that the conduct of the Chief Justice, if found to be true, is in serious violation of Chapter 24, that is the Code of Conduct for Public Officers, and several other provisions in our laws. It is therefore important that SHRAJ investigates this matter in accordance with the law and recommend appropriate sanctions in respect of the outcome of the investigations to restore the battered image of the judiciary and any other injury this allegation might have caused, and is signed by Mensa Thompson. We have also cited a letter that is written to Mr. Thompson, who is the Executive Director of ASEPA. It's a letter that is signed by Paulina L. Issel. She's the Deputy Chief Investigator for SHRAJ. And she signed the letter on behalf of the Commissioner, and it reads that I have been directed to inform you that your complaint is receiving the necessary attention and we will revert to you in due course. And it's signed there.
Okay, so that's the response to SHRAJ. That's the petition that was sent to SHRAJ by ASEPA. And then we've also heard that response from SHRAJ. Thank you very much, Blay. But like I said, there's a letter also to the petition to the Speaker. Joseph, hold on to that. Let me quickly bring in lawyer Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman, a law lecturer, renowned lawyer. We're grateful for your time here on Top Story, Mr. Opoku-Agyeman. But just before I come to you, let's just go through that letter that was sent to the Inspector General of Police. Joseph, take us through it quickly, that we can take a reaction from Mr. Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman.
This is actually written by Justice Cynthia Pamela Addo, who is the Judicial Secretary, and she says the attention of the Chief Justice has been drawn to copies of letters from lawyer Kwesi Afrifa and to the disciplinary committee, and which letters are making rounds on social media. His Lordship is saddened that without any shred of evidence, his name has been dragged into this sordid and potentially criminal matter. His Lordship confirms that he does not know the plaintiff and has not met or seen him anywhere except in the courtroom, where he rises to announce his name when his case is called. His Lordship asserts that he has had no personal interaction with either the plaintiff or his lawyer on this matter or any other matter. His Lordship further asserts that he has not demanded or received any money from any person to influence any decision in this matter or any other matter. And she goes on to say, indeed, the records show that the plaintiff unsuccessfully petitioned for the recusal of His Lordship, the Chief Justice, and His Lordship Justice Jones Doche from the matter on the claim that they were prejudiced against him. And the final 3 paragraphs of the letter, it says, the records further show that the Chief Justice was the only judge on a panel who recently, on 31st March 2021, dissented in an application at the instance of the plaintiff as far as this particular case is concerned. And this is where the Judicial Secretary is asking the police CID to come in. She says, to ensure that this matter is fully investigated, His Lordship has directed that a formal complaint be made to the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service for further investigations and any necessary action. He has further directed that a petition be lodged with the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Counsel in respect of this specific matter. His Lordship is available to assist with all investigations into this matter while he considers his own civil legal options to ensure that this matter is dealt with to its logical conclusion.
Okay, Joseph, we'll get through the Speaker's petition also, but stay with me. But let's bring in Mr. Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman. Thank you so much, and sorry for keeping you waiting. So this is how it's all started. We've seen the petition all the way to this petition to the CID to investigate. But interestingly, this is an allegation that people have taken very seriously, because the court system is expected to listen to the facts before it decide on the case. Now we are hearing about allegations of gymnastics, especially money exchanging hands, involving the very top of the judiciary, the Chief Justice. Remains allegations. But then I would want to find out, this is a matter that's before the General Legal Counsel. Are they not able to exhaustively deal with this matter such that we have to elevate it to the CID?
Well, thank you very much. Is that Emefa?
Yes, please. It's
Yes,
Emefa.
I thank you very much for the opportunity. But the first thing I want you to know is that people have made allegations that the two of us are also in an amorous relationship and therefore should be investigated.
Have
Are you
they?
aware?
Have
Have you
they?
heard it?
Have they?
You
We are.
haven't.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Uh, we are waiting. You definitely read very soon. The two of us, because even we have been having some relationship and through our phone calls. You see, I'm saying this because it seems to me that sometimes uh, we rush into uh, going through some of these things. I don't have a problem whatsoever when allegations of embezzlement, corruption, malfeasance is to be investigated. But we have to be very careful so that we do not malign people when we don't have evidence. And sometimes we have to put two things together in a legal document. The genesis of this matter is allegations of misconduct against a lawyer before the disciplinary committee. And as you are aware, the mandate of the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council is sent to lawyers. Therefore, it's appropriate that somebody made allegations against Mr. The lawyer. Let me put it on record that the lawyer involved in this case is my classmate, Jumambedu, who's now Kwesi Fifa, and also I believe that everybody knows my relationship with the Chief Justice as the Chairman of the General Legal Council. We have taught together as somebody that I respect and hold in high esteem the same way as I also know Mr. Kwesi Fifa, and therefore at least I have to put it on record so that it's not that I don't know them. The whole thing, the genesis of it is that allegations have been made against him before the Disciplinary Committee, which is the appropriate forum for such allegations to be made. And if it's in the course of his response that all these things have come up, and I do not want to jump into conclusion, but at least as a reasonable person, if you have to interrogate the response that has come. First and foremost, I believe that we journalists and lawyers should look at the whole case, the amount involved. Maybe once we get to know the amount involved, then maybe $5 million allegation may be plausible. Otherwise, sometimes certain allegations become so preposterous that any reasonable person will not believe it. But we will leave it at that because that is something we have to interrogate. And also the interrogation whether or not amount in dollars have been refunded, and if you charge in cedis, whether you refund in dollars, all these things. We need to put things together to come to some logical, probative conclusions. Then we can discuss. If he thinks that the Chief Justice has done something wrong, I believe that Article 146 is there. The Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council may not have jurisdiction over the Chief Justice. And I don't begrudge anybody who may want to ventilate this matter in the appropriate quarters. All what I want people to look at is that anytime we're taking a legal step, let us be careful so that we don't just go in there, but we have at least a shred of evidence to support. And sometimes that allegations are plausible, reasonable, has some logical conclusions that to be made. That's all I can say for now. But allegations, if remain allegations, I believe that if you have read it, I've read all the documents that I had you, I've read all of them, and the basis of it are all hearsay as the basis, that is, someone told me. Of course, as to whether or not the person told him or her, I think that is the matter that will go before the Disciplinary Committee on the 15th. I think the allegations against the Chief Justice out before the Disciplinary Committee will become tangential because they will look at whether or not there was that misconduct alleged against the lawyer. And if indeed there's any evidence to refer the conduct of the Chief Justice, it will go before the Judicial Council. And then, of course, if anybody wants to, that will be under Article 146 impeachment proceedings.
Okay. Well, but what the tendency of this and such allegations and what it does to the image of the judiciary is of concern to many. You don't think that comes up at all?
Of course. That's why I said, even me, ordinary Ghanaian citizen lecturer, as you mentioned, if such allegations are made, like the two of us are in a amorous relationship,
which is not true, by the way. Which is not true, by the way.
And therefore, when I go home, you know what will happen. You understand? So we don't have to trifle on these matters at all. And I believe sincerely that sometimes when we are making allegations, such momentous allegations, we have to be very careful as to the consequence, not to ourselves, but to the persons involved and to the nation at large. It doesn't do anybody any good. And let me say also that disciplinary committee proceedings are meant to be in camera. But these days, it becomes the practice that people file certain things and it goes into the papers. Now you read something that even the petitioner is also saying, stay tuned, as if it is a concert party that we are going to have a repeat. Stay tuned. I don't think it's proper. If you make allegations against a lawyer, our rules indicate that it should be in camera proceeding. All the documents are confidential until decisions are made. But we live in an era where I think people want to be heard and to be seen. But the unfortunate thing is that by the time this thing is cleared, sometimes even going back to correct or clear your name, it's a difficult thing. But as you know, a person who is drowning, if I am drowning, even a straw or a sugarcane leaf becomes an anchor. So you can put in anything and everything. But I believe that since they are based on somebody telling me as to whether that is true, because right now, if the person denies, I've not given anything to the person, unless this person has either a video or it's going to be your word against my word, and I hope that it may be unraveled, because on the 15th of July, that is where the matter will take place.
Okay.
Because that is the genesis. All what we are discussing, they came out of the response of Mr. Efifa. So when Mr. Efifa goes through the place by 15th and is able to substantiate it, then of course, or is able to put some evidence to indicate that it's not just a hearsay, but I have other evidence to prove it or corroborate it, then it becomes a very serious matter. But if it goes on the 15th, and the person, I've seen a case where the person goes there and now says that, oh, it was just a matter of so and so, then that is it. But this one is becoming serious. That's why if you read the Chief Justice's letter to the CID, has indicated his right to seek other civil action to protect his image, which I think is in the right direction.
Okay.
So let them investigate. On the 15th, let the lawyer go and substantiate, and the two of them will meet before the judicial committee. And the person has indicated that, no, I don't know this person. I've not had any discussion with this person. Mr. Efifa will insist that you told me. And so you told me, and I will say, I did not tell you. I believe that the committee have a lot of experience in unraveling this matter. And maybe by the 15th, we all will know that either it was a spurious allegation or there's a substance in it, which will give credence to whatever further action that will be taken.
Okay, we'll leave it here. We're indeed grateful for your time. That's Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman. Let me also bring in Edem Senna, who is an anti-corruption crusader. We're grateful for your time here on Top Story. I'm sure you've been following this as it unfolds, but now the approach being used is to investigate it with the police. Aside that, also we're hearing that Shraj is also supposed to investigate this. These two, institutions looking into this, that satisfies you as an anti-corruption crusader, or there should be more?
No, I think it does, and I very much agree with the gentleman who was just speaking, that this is a lot of hearsay, and really, until we have further and better particulars, it's not something that we should be spending our energies on unless he's able to adduce much more substantive evidence to support the fact that a third party claims that the Chief Justice demanded $5 million. The narration doesn't really add up. So he himself ought to be investigated, and we will be glad if the police are able to unravel what exactly transpired and whether the facts as given are truly what has occurred. I think that if CID and Traj take a look at this and are expeditious about it in providing what exactly happened between the parties, it will help all of us.
Mr. Edem Senanu, we are grateful for your time. That's anti-corruption crusader Edem Senanu there. We've been looking at that allegation against the Chief Justice, and then also the petitions that have come up so far. The Judicial Council have petitioned the Inspector General of Police to start looking into this matter. ASEPA has also petitioned the Speaker to look into it, as well as Shraj, and they've already responded to ASEPA saying that they will give it the necessary attention that it deserves and will revert to them in due course. This is a matter we are following. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Gassem, the nation builder. Vodafone, together we can. We have Newsnight coming up in a bit. Please stay.
55, 78, 58, 70. Hey, Charlie, my network is really killing me. I have to pay my uncle's workers via mobile money, but the charges alone, it's about 380 cedis.
Charges alone just to send money? That's $10 of cement already, my guy. Listen, bro, you can save money on charges if you move to Vodafone Cash now.
Vodafone Cash? But my network is
Hey, sending money on that your network, you pay. Sending money on your network to other networks, you pay. But guess what? Sending money